Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, Saturday, December 26, 2022. I have Anthony DiMaggio, former Yonkers Police Lieutenant. Gonna wrap it up. I should say we're gonna go all the way till we wrap this thing up. So it's gonna go however many shows we need to go. I know some people may not like that.
Light on here.
Good evening, Anthony. How you been? How's everything?
I'm good, Freddie. How you doing, pal?
Not too bad. Let me start off by saying, I got a call from Mike Hanley. So I want to say this. I want to put this out there because I was baffled by it, right? So I got a call from Mike Hanley. I didn't pick up right away. I called back. I said, Michael Hanley. He's the president of the CLSA, and
right.
He picked up and he said, "Who's this?" And I said, "I'm Freddie Vasquez." And he said, "Did you text me?" And then I said, "I text you," and then he hung up real quick. And I said, "What was that about?" And then I see that.
Yeah. In my haste to get you some of the material that I'd like to go over on the podcast tonight, I was looking through some old text messages with him. And I don't know how I did it. I was rushing, and somehow I created a group text with you and him.
Oh.
And when I meant to send you a text saying, I'm going to send you a few things in 10 minutes or whatever it was, 5 minutes, I sent it to both of you. So he must have saw my name. No, so he didn't know who I was, but then he sees this other strange number in the group text. So he must have called it and said, "Who is this?"
He wants to see who that guy is.
Mike, I'm sure you're going to watch this at some point. The last thing I'd ever want you to think is that I was trying to contact you in some way. I wasn't. It was an accident.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I didn't want him, to think that maybe I was doing something, playing some kind of game with him.
That was my fault, totally.
And so there we go. We cleared that up. So I just wanted to say that.
Unless he wants to come on the show. Mike, if you ever want to come on the show, I'm sure Freddie would be as happy to have you as I would.
Sure, absolutely. And I like to do that because, again, I want to get both sides. I like to, get as much information as possible so we can be correct, right? We want to be as accurate as possible. That's the goal. So the more information I get, the more accurate I can be. And I will correct myself when I'm wrong. So there you have it. So anyway, Anthony, how was your week? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was real good. It was small, after my grandparents died, you know how that happens.
Yeah.
Grandparents are in their 80s, 90s, and they pass away. And then what used to be a huge family Thanksgiving turns into a bunch of smaller ones. And it's kind of, it's kind of bittersweet because it's not as fun as having the big family there, but it's more relaxing. You know what I mean?
Oh, I definitely know what you mean. It's difficult. I did go see my grandmother this Thanksgiving. I stopped by just to say hello. I hadn't spoken to her in a while. And, I don't want to have any, stuff. And especially now with this thing that's come out on me and, I'm hearing that, some family members were involved. It wasn't her. But over time, things like this happen also, as well as deaths. And then,
Sure,
it's not the same. So I know exactly what you mean. But good evening to you too, Denise. Good evening, Freddie and Anthony. Thank you for joining us. So we're going to get right into it. You sent me an email with a bunch of stuff, right? So let's go. What do you want to start? Let's get right into it.
I sent you several emails. So,
yeah.
I sent you an email, a couple of emails pertaining to the union. Some of the reviews, all of the reviews that I've gotten have been generally good. A couple of people have said, you're kind of repetitive with some of the stuff. And I said, yeah, but that's not just because I'm a babbling idiot. It's by design because, as the guys who run the PTS program, which is the Police Tutorial Service, that's the organization, the local organization that helps cops study for promotion exams. And as those instructors say, repetition reinforces. So when you want to get ideas across to people and to really let them know and remember how things work in this city, you have to keep repeating it. You don't want to do it until they get totally sick of it. You always want to work in new material as well, which we're going to do tonight. But
Well,
especially since Vinny was talking to you about, he's saying that I'm lying about how the union works. We're going to have to address some of it again tonight.
There you go. I mean, look, here's your opportunity now to address some of that. And they say, as I mentioned, repetition builds memory. So I get what you're saying. So yeah, let's get right into it. Let's maybe discuss some of that stuff. And so what do you want me to bring up first?
Let's talk about, I sent you some pictures of a couple of guys from the union who endorsed Lakeisha.
Okay.
She was running against Mike Cater. And so just to reiterate the point that my union, no longer my union, but what was my union, the CLSA, the Captains, Lieutenants, and Sergeants Association, is a complete and total racket, a total scam of an organization. Does absolutely nothing for the membership. And actually, it's worse than them just doing nothing for the membership. They actually work against the membership at the behest of the mayor, who rewards them all very well for doing so. Now, this is when Lakeisha, I guess, had just come out as she's going to run against Mike, and the mayor is lining up all these audio for it.
No, I was saying that this was last year. So I was saying, go. Sorry.
Right. So the mayor's lining up all these endorsements for her. I can guarantee you that maybe with the exception of Keith Olsen in this picture, probably nobody else in there even knew who she was when they were coming out to endorse her. By the way, I have nothing against Lakeisha. I don't know her. The only thing I really have against her is that she voted to extend term limits. But other than that, I don't know the woman from a hole in the wall. You know what I mean? So I just want to be clear about that.
So this is not a bias, right? This is not a political bias or anything like that.
Right. Now, the three dudes on the right that I labeled, obviously everybody knows Keith Olsen on the left as the PBA president.
Right.
Mayor for life, right there in the middle behind Lakeisha. Now, the three numbskulls to the right over there, I have them labeled. We've spoken about Mike Hanley quite a bit on these podcasts. We'll continue to do so for as long as we continue to do the podcasts. But just to put a face with a name, there he is. He's the goofy-looking guy staring up into space, thinking about which Spano pecker he's going to squeeze next.
Oh, wait. He might not like that comment.
I'm sure he won't, but it's fitting. So,
So for the people who may not understand, right, and so in talking about politics, and also recently what happened in terms of the term limit extension and Lakeisha Collins Bellamy being the one that introduced it. What does this mean actually, right? You have the CLSA president here, you have the PBA president, and police officers. This endorsement, what does this mean really? Why do they do this?
Well, obviously, the endorsement of the police unions means a lot politically. Believe it or not, the majority of people do like and support the police to one degree or another.
Right.
There are a lot of people who have issues with the police, but for the most part, and this was my experience, people generally do like the police and thank the police. A lot of times they'll do it discreetly, see out in the street and stuff like that. But there's a lot of that. And so the police endorsements go a long way in elections. Now,
right. So the people, the city of Yonkers, they really support the police. The police are, again, they are very respected here in the city. So when they see this endorsement, that gives credibility to the candidate. Now, initially, the police supported Mike Cater. They endorsed Cater, and then they changed their support. Why do you think that happened? And obviously, that would come from the presidents, right? The CLSA president, PBA, Keith Olsen. Why would they do that? Oh,
well, I can give you the short answer. What I know for a fact. I can't give you, the conversations that went on behind the scenes. But I can tell you right now that whenever the PBA or the CLS endorses anybody, it's because the mayor told them to do it. It's just that simple. And especially with the CLS, Keith Olsen has a love-hate. I'll just say it that way. He has sort of a love-hate relationship with the mayor. He does fight the mayor on things from time to time. Not as much as people would like, but he does. The CLS doesn't at all. I mean, Mike Hanley and the last 3 or 4 of his predecessors, they don't do anything at all without his say-so. That's why, Mike Hanley didn't come out with a statement about that situation with the sergeant until me and you spoke about it on the podcast.
Right, yeah.
And Vinny Spano, who apparently was watching, Oh my God, he's right. He's right. You know. As a matter of fact, Hanley probably didn't even know that he made that statement until a couple of days later, because I think they probably just wrote it up and sent it to Loha.
Really?
Otherwise, you would have saw him in front of a camera. Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, the Spanos are in tight with Loha, right? That's the rumor.
Wow. Well, yeah, I haven't heard that rumor, but yeah, I've heard that more with News 12. I see the mic there. Yeah, so folks, you know, people who watching and going back to the city council meeting this Tuesday, you know, there was a reason why they switched that endorsement, you know, and like you said, the CLS president, he's going to do whatever the mayor says. Keith Olsen has a love-hate relationship with him, but obviously there's, you know, some reason why he's getting behind this.
More love.
And they wanted to put her in there to do this term limits, in my opinion. To get this passed.
Absolutely, right. So
Mike King.
When we were talking about the clinic,
Mayor owns PBA and YFD. Just ask Nick. He is the underwriter.
Yeah. So when I say that Keith and the mayor have a love-hate relationship, it's far more love than hate. You know, Keith fought a reduction in the overtime cap a few years back. Keith fought to get a couple of cops' jobs back when Chucky Gardner wanted to fire them, or even when Mueller, when he fired a cop who got into a little bit of trouble off duty, a very liked cop, especially by the in crowd. So right. Keith went and actually fought with his own buddy about it. But on the bigger issues, not really. There's not much fighting with Keith. The CLS is a totally different story. I mean, they just are completely bought off.
So it seems like Keith Olsen is really like a guy. He will fight for his, you know, his officers and stuff like that. You know, other maybe more political issues like something like this, endorsing Lakeisha, you know, when they were initially endorsing Mike, he's not going to fight too much on that. He's going to go with this. That kind of what I'm getting from you.
No, the big stuff, the big important stuff, you know, he's basically going to follow suit on.
Right. Well, this is kind of big important stuff here because they want to pass term limits, right? So they had to get Lakeisha in there.
Yeah. Well, also Keith is not a big fan of Decatur's, and they're not a big fan of his.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I can speak for John. You know, Mike would have to speak on his own about that a little bit more. But John, I know, I've spoken to him. It's no secret. Keith doesn't like John. I was told stories from retired guys about, I don't know, them having words at a picnic one time or something like that. Keith said, "Why don't we go in the woods and settle this?" or something like that. Like basically called him out, wanted to fight him, and yeah, that's the way Keith is.
Right.
You know. Not his only rodeo with that kind of thuggish behavior.
And while we're talking about the PBA and the CLS, you have mentioned also something about, and others have mentioned this actually, something about the fees, the union fees, or how much the union pays to Empire Strategic Planning, right? This former Senator Nick Spano's consulting company, right? The mayor's brother. So they pay him, or you know, both of them. I believe 50,000 and 25,000 respectively.
I don't know what the exact numbers are. It's somewhere in those neighborhoods, you know. And see, the difference between the PBA and the CLSA is that Keith is going to retire as the PBA president. So his reward doesn't come in the form of a lucrative position when he vacates the presidency, right? When he vacates the presidency, he's going to be because he retires.
Right.
With the CLSA, it's entirely different. You know, take a guy like Mike Koch, who was the last CLSA president before Mike Hanley. The CLSA president does not make overtime. He makes a base salary. Yeah, KO has a vice. I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, it's Frank McDonald. I could be wrong. I think it's Frank McDonald. Right. He's in line to take over. Keith's going to hand it to him when Keith retires, probably after the mayoral election next year. Now, the CLSA president is always a captain, a lieutenant, or a sergeant. As the CLSA president, you don't make overtime. So his buy-off comes in the form of an overtime-rich position when he vacates the presidency. We've spoken about this before, but again, it needs to be driven home. I sent you I emailed you a description of the bribery statutes in the penal law, and they apply in this situation, you know.
Do you want me to pull that up next? No, now? Show it real quick?
Or... Yeah, I guess you might as well. I had sent it to you in a different context about some text messages between Hanley and I about a year ago. But you could show it now because it applies, because we're talking about it. So, I mean.
All right. So, yeah, well, I pull it up. So, and you know, but they say it's supposed to be for a reason, right? Like they pay those consulting fees, quote unquote, For what though? People say for what? What have they actually, advocated for the unions and police officers up at the state, right? They're supposed to advocate for them in some way, right? Am I getting that? Right. And
yeah,
so
that's correct. I mean, it's a lobbying firm,
but really, what lobbying are they really doing, right? It's kind of, what.
Well, again,
what
there may be some. I'm not aware of any. From what I've been told, it's a total scam. But I don't know that for a fact. It just seems to make sense to me because Keith gets away with doing things that I just don't understand.
Johnny Limo says Slick Nick is killing it with the unions.
Yeah, well, that's the rumor, right?
So is this the convo you're talking about here?
No, but we can go ahead and go over this now. This is a conversation that I had with someone who obviously, if you read it, you'll see that the person is not named. I did that on purpose. I redacted a portion of one text that I had sent to this person. The only stuff that's redacted there is stuff that will reveal his identity, and I'm not going to do that to him because, for the reasons that I think we've gone over plenty of times already on these podcasts. He'll be a target. Audio.
All right, what's going on here? Tell me about I'm sorry.
Okay, so this is a 2018 conversation between myself and another CLS member. I'm in the blue text. He's in the brown text. And what was going on is we're making a few comments back and forth about the fact that when Sapienza,
and that's the current police commissioner,
right? When he vacated, when the guy before him, who was Tommy Felon, vacated the CLSA presidency, Sapienza took over and just basically slid in right overnight, and no one even knew anything was going on. Like I told you, the Spanos take advantage of a bylaw which allows the current CLSA president to handpick his replacement,
right,
and just have him take his spot.
Right.
Now, someone can run every 2 years, but it doesn't happen because people are just too intimidated to try to step up and take the union back.
And so they control that because basically they'll tell him, hey, listen, this is the guy we want you to pick. And for that, you're going to get rewarded with something. So the person that they pick is not who they really want. It's just, who they're told to pick because they get
it's right. They don't make their own selection. The Spanos tell them who's going to be the next puppet. Right.
Right.
And so Tommy Felon, who is a real nice guy. I'm not aware of him having any particular investigative skills, but they made him the executive commanding officer, the executive lieutenant of the detective division. So pretty sure that's the position he got. So he left, and he taps Sapienza on his way out. Now Sapienza, not a bad guy. He's John Rubo's cousin. And he's
is he? Sapienza is John Rubo's cousin?
Yeah.
Oh.
And not a bad guy. Definitely a Spano guy. Definitely going to listen and do whatever he wants him. They want him to do.
Doesn't Olson and Hanley get a substantial stipend from the city? Talk about a conflict.
Right. Yeah. Hanley does not get overtime. Neither does Olson. I don't think. He might be eligible to work overtime. I think I've seen him working overtime from time to time. Keith Hanley is not. The CLSA president is not. He does get a stipend though. He does get a stipend.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he gets a detective stipend. So that's the city's initial bribe.
Right.
You don't do any investigatory work at all, but we're going to make you a detective anyway. Well, why? Because a detective stipend comes with a $20,000 pay increase.
Right. And you don't have to take a test for that. So you can just hand it to somebody.
No.
Right.
No.
Right.
And take home car. So there are perks while you're in office, but the big payoff comes afterwards. Let's go back to those text messages. We were just
Anthony, know who has the power authority to amend those bylaws?
I would imagine the board, but they're all bought off.
Yeah.
So I can't speak as to what we were talking about before this because I have a long text thread with the person, and I say we were talking about something. I say, nah, not really. It's totally understandable. Honestly, I wish our president, talking about SAP, would fight things occasionally. This was probably when we were talking about the reduction in the overtime. Chucky Gardner, almost certainly on Mike Spano's orders, had decided on a new policy of 40 hours of overtime per 2-week pay period would be a cap. It had been 60. So that's a 50% reduction. Keith Olsen fought that and won, from what I understand. Sapienza did not. Sapienza basically stood up in front of the membership and said, that doesn't really affect us anyway, so we're not going to do anything about it.
Well, that's a good thing, I guess, about Keith, man. All right.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I actually never really heard anything bad about Keith, really, actually, Keith Olsen, nothing.
No, actually, that night at Fogarty's, one of the things I said to him was like, you know what, big guy, I always respected you.
Yeah. Seemed like a good guy. I never had any, Keith, if you're Olsen, if you're watching or you watch, that's important. Never heard anything bad about you. No, nothing at all, actually.
Well, I've heard a lot of bad things about him, but
I haven't. I personally haven't. But I know you've even said that, when it came to your situation, that he really wasn't involved in that, right? He wasn't.
Well, that's a double-edged sword. He wasn't, basically, because there was no real role for him to play. If there was, he would have played it. Make no,
I got
no mistake about it. You know what I mean?
I got you.
It was a CLS beef. It was a beef between CLS members.
I got you. Not PBA. Not right.
Right.
Nick is working real hard on anti-police legislation. What do you mean by that, John?
But going back to that conversation, we'll just rip through it real quick. And so I think Singer is thinking about throwing his name in the hat. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's me saying that. Now, Singer was one of the bald guys in that picture. He's currently the CLSA treasurer.
Okay.
He's a good guy. I like Jared. I always did. You could break chops with him. He'll break chops back. He's got a good sense of humor. But there's no doubt he's selling out. I mean, he's got a nice, cushy indoor gig with built-in overtime. They gave him that basically because he's a union guy.
Right.
And he didn't do shit for me either when I was going through all this. Neither did Glenn Caserta, the other guy in the picture, who's the CLSA. I'm sorry, Glenn is the CLSA treasurer. Jared is the secretary. And those were the two guys that served me with the appointment notice the night that Mueller was trying to avoid an electronic record of the notification. That's something that we spoke about on a previous podcast. Now, the person that I'm speaking to now is talking about Jared and says he's a SAP guy. He's also a third floor guy.
And what does that mean? He's also a third floor guy, just for people who don't know.
That means he kisses ass with the brass, basically.
Okay.
And he'll do anything that they say. Not really the kind of guy you want in a high union position.
Right.
Okay. I like Jared, and he's a smart guy, but I feel like that's a bit of a conflict of interest. Heard Ralph and Russo and Mulvey interested in VP. Mike Mulvey is the current sergeant at arms of the union. He ran against, I don't remember who he ran against, but he won. Oh, he ran against Alemo.
Now, when you were talking
Ricky
about, you said I like Jared and he's a smart guy, but
no,
I feel
that's
like
not me. That's the other guy that I'm talking.
Okay, the other guy. What does he mean by that?
But that he's a smart guy.
No, well, Jared. Who's he referring to? Jared.
Jared Singer.
Singer, right? Okay.
Yeah, one of the guys that was in that picture holding up, and him and Glenn Caserta in that picture, they both have this look on their face like they'd rather be anywhere else in the universe.
Yeah, like I've seen some of that look recently. Now, I want to bring something up real quick. You have mentioned that the mayor's brother, I believe Gerard Spano, wanted to possibly run for president of PBA, was it, or is that correct?
That's what I heard from a couple of people, yeah. Gerard is a well-liked guy.
Right.
Even though he's the mayor's brother, he may have been able to win, and they knew that, the brothers. That's why, from what I heard, they threatened to transfer him.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm sorry, not him. They threatened not to transfer him, but all his friends.
Oh, I got you.
Special investigations unit.
I got you.
Boot him out of there, as punishment.
So you want to continue reading here?
Okay,
go ahead.
Heard a couple of people are interested in running for VP. Matt Russo is now retired. Ralph is Ralph Carosa. That was the short guy in the black overcoat that was looking at you all funny when you were walking into the library last week.
No, I didn't even pay attention.
It's in one of the videos. We could go back. I can show you who it is. And I say, and now we're talking about Singer again. Yeah, I imagine somebody up there, because this person that I'm talking to said Singer is a third floor guy. So I say, yeah, I imagine somebody up there or in City Hall put it in his head to take the spot when SAP vacates it. So here we are. We're talking about the undemocratic transfer of the presidency from one person to another without an election, right?
Now, obviously, it happens.
Right. Now, this person that I'm talking to says, yeah, I'm sure it's just going to be handed to someone when that day comes. Miss a meeting and you won't even know we have a new president. Now, that's not me talking. That's the guy I'm talking to.
Yeah, I know.
Okay?
Wow.
Because everybody knows it. I told you. It's a big scam.
Yep. It just happens like that. It doesn't
Right.
really matter what most people have to say. And like he said, if you miss a meeting, you'll have a new president.
Right. Right. Now,
Wow.
this text is kind of important. Remember, this is all 4.5 years ago, before any of this shit started with me.
Right.
Now, I tell this person, right, my father was VP of the CLS, which he was back in the day. Last week, I told him that one night, Felon was gone and Sap was in without his soul knowing it. He didn't believe me. So my father doesn't understand how the Spanos control the unions. Because, as I go on to say in the text, he was the VP of the union under Phil McComb, who, as far as I know, I don't know if he held office or not before he was the mayor. He may have. I may be wrong in what I just said next there. But the point is that he was not a lifelong, seasoned professional politician like the Spanos are. Spanos been in the game for 75 years.
Right.
They understand the bribery game. They understand how to control unions and things like that.
And really quick, it's interesting that you mentioned that. I heard that very recently, actually, maybe within the past 2 days, that Amacone wasn't as well as a polished or seasoned, experienced politician as the Spanos were, which is why kind of he got outmaneuvered and ended up, not coming back.
He's not as, and this is the key word that I'm going to keep repeating. He's not as Machiavellian.
Machiavellian. Yeah.
Machiavellian. I sent you that article, right?
Right. Yeah.
That article on Wikipedia. There's a great Wikipedia article called Machiavellianism in the Workplace. Everybody who wants to know how the city of Yonkers works should read that article.
I dare a member of CLSA PBA to ask for reports, updates on exactly what ESP has been doing up in Albany in regards to why both unions have a contract with Slick Nick's firm.
It's a reasonable request.
Yeah. Anyway, moving forward.
Yeah. So,
yeah, we good there?
Yeah. What else did I send you? I know it was a frantic kind of pace to try to put all this stuff together and have it.
Yeah, you sent me. So then you sent me some screenshots, right? Pegged 1, pegged 2, pegged 3.
Let's do those later.
Okay. And then
those are gonna be good.
And then what else you said? I got 2 emails from you, right? You sent more. I saw 2.
So all right, so
3. I got 3. Yeah, okay. I got the other one here. Hanley terminated and bribery.
Right. So yeah, all right. Let's pull that up.
All right.
Let's talk about the bribery stuff first, and how the bribery statutes in the New York State penal law and how they apply to the situation between the Spanos and the unions really works.
All right.
Because nobody gets handed a bag of cash under the table anymore. That's too obvious.
Right.
Right. Well,
let's take us out. You don't mind if I take us out, right? So they can.
No, that's fine. Just let's go to the bribery statutes first.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Everyone can sort of get the idea.
All right.
It's in the same email.
Yeah. I got it here.
Yeah.
All right. Bribery. Oh, okay. Yeah, breaking it down here.
It's real simple. So, they're almost like sister offenses, mirror offenses, right? Whenever there's a bribery going on, someone's doing the bribing and someone's doing the bribe receiving. Interesting thing is that under the penal law, they're both D felonies. It doesn't matter who's on which side of the coin, okay? Bribery in the 3rd degree. A person is guilty of bribery in the 3rd degree when he confers or offers or agrees to confer any benefit upon a public servant like Mike Hanley, upon an agreement or understanding that such public servant's vote, opinion, judgment, action, decision, or exercise of discretion as a public servant will thereby be influenced. So in other words, when Mike Hanley is the one responsible for fighting for Anthony DiMaggio's career when he's being assaulted and decides not to do it because he knows he's going to get some prize when he's no longer the CLS president, the person conferring the prize at the end of the tunnel, Mike Spano, mayor for life, is guilty of bribery in the 3rd degree, which is a D felony punishable by, if you look at that chart in the middle there, nonviolent D felony. It could be no jail or probation, no jail and probation. It could be 1 to 3 years, could be up to 7 years.
Yep.
So it's a crime that's inevitably, I shouldn't say inevitably, possibly punishable by up to 7 years. Okay.
This is it.
Right.
What does that mean? Go ahead.
Well, this is what it comes down to. This is how the unions are controlling Yonkers. Now, on the flip side of the coin, bribe receiving in the 3rd degree. A public servant, such as Mike Hanley, is guilty of bribe receiving in the 3rd degree when he solicits, accepts, or agrees to accept down the line, in other words, any benefit from another person or an agreement or understanding that his vote, opinion, judgment, action, or they should say inaction too, decision or exercise of discretion as a public servant will thereby be influenced. Bribe receiving is also a Class D felony, punishable by up to 7 years in prison. Okay, so when Mike Hanley issues a stand-down order to the CLSA attorney saying we're not going to do anything for Anthony DiMaggio because if this situation ever makes it into a courtroom, Mike Spano and John Mueller are going to be very embarrassed, and I'm not going to get the prize that I was promised at the end of my tenure. That's bribe receiving. It's influencing his actions in his role as a public servant within the city government.
Right, because they did nothing for you. They did nothing for you at all. And in fact, and we've played an audio where he said he doesn't see anything. I don't see anything here, Anthony. I don't see what, And so they're supposed to fight for you.
Absolutely.
And they have done nothing.
They don't fight. What they do is they talk, and they make it look like they're trying to fight. And they throw out nonsensical options that make it look like they're trying to help you, when really all they're trying to do is make it look like they're trying to help you while they're protecting the mayor.
Right.
Okay. And that's what we'll get into if you want to pull up those text messages. These text messages are from the day before I was terminated last year.
Come on, we know there is bribery and extortion. Can you prove DA needs backup? So basically they said we want proof. We want evidence that we can, present to a DA, and it's, cut and dry.
Well, I mean, look, the thing is this. If you look at, as I said, nobody hands bags of cash under the table anymore. It's too obvious. You can't do it that way anymore. What you have to do is you have to say, hey, Mike Koch, guess what? You knew about this whole situation in early January, but you're not going to call Anthony DiMaggio one time. You're not going to talk to him. You're not going to help him in any way. 3 weeks later, when we call him down to internal affairs, you're going to bring him down there, and you're going to just sit there with your mouth shut, and you're going to sell him out. You're going to let us do what we want to him. And then when you're done as the CLS president, you're going to do a whole lot of other stuff for us too. But then when you're done as the CLSA president, you're going to go to the traffic unit, okay? And that little detective stipend that's worth $20K to you now is going to turn into $100,000 worth of overtime every year, perennially. That's a big bribe. It's not a bag of cash, but it's a monetary value up and above his base salary.
Right.
It's a highly desired position within the police department. It's widely known as the best lieutenant spot in the department, commanding officer of the traffic unit. So that's your prize.
But it's and I hear you, and that's the thing, and I think that's what a lot of people, kind of where their frustration comes in, right? Because they see it, and a lot of people don't see it actually, and a lot of people are now starting to see it. But for those who have been seeing it for a long time, it's like, yeah, we see it, but how does it get proven? How does something happen, right? And
that's a good question.
And that's where I think everybody's pretty much at, especially those who have been seeing it for so long. They're very frustrated with that.
See, now this is where a good prosecutor could make the case. You could make, if there was a prosecutor out there that was interested in this sort of a thing, by looking at the timeline of events over a period of a lot of years.
Right.
Okay. This CLSA president was put in without an election by his predecessor. Over the course of his tenure, these were the things he did do and didn't do. And when his tenure was over, he went to this unit, which makes this much money above and beyond base salary. And he tapped this person who then came in and either did do this or didn't do this. And then, by taking a look at the cycle as it went on over the years, you would be able to establish, a very clear and visible pattern.
At the very least, at the very least, they need to. I mean, there's enough there, I think, for them to come and look at what's going on here and maybe say, hey, okay, you know what? Maybe there's nothing there that we can prosecute somebody and put them to jail, but there is obviously, right, the possibility and the potential for which exactly what you're saying to happen, and obviously that is happening. So we have to find a solution to so there is no doubt that that's happening, right, or that's not happening, or whatever, so we can prevent that from happening moving forward. At the very least, something like that, and you don't see any of that, right? It's
very difficult to do, but yeah, you're right.
That's what the sergeant is going through, all talk. So they're not supporting the sergeant. And why? Why is that? Why they're not giving this sergeant the support, the one that was in that?
Well, I mean, look, a lot of people, by the way, I don't know if I told you, a lot of people reached out to me through one means or another and basically thanked us, not just me, but you, for doing that for her.
Oh, okay. Well,
You know,
listen, that's what we're here for, man.
right?
Appreciate that.
Yeah, but basically, she's going to be okay.
Good.
She's going to be okay. That's not like, you know what I mean. She's going to be fine. I'll just sum it up that way. She's going to be fine. So, but what happens is that the mayor likes to pull the strings and decide how it's all going to end ahead of time,
Mm.
and then he just tells Mike Hanley, "Don't worry about it. She's going to be all right. We play politics with her a little bit. Get out in front of the public.
I was gonna say
say a
that.
few
Yeah.
things. But she's going to be all right because she didn't do
Yeah.
anything wrong.
Right.
Like I said, there's no audio in the video. She can hear that the backup is right there.
Right.
Okay, we couldn't because there was no audio in the video, but she did,
Right.
and she was trying to pull the guy off. She got this guy off, and he kind of walked off, and then she went over to the other guy, and when she went over to the other guy, the guy that she had initially pulled off kind of worked his way back
Right.
into the situation. So it's not like she was doing nothing. She was
Right.
trying. She didn't want to pull out the taser and start strapping people down because there's a lot that can go wrong with the taser, and there's really no reason to if the backup is right there. That's why. It's very simple.
Yeah, and it's crazy that so basically, what I'm gathering from it is just an opportunity for them to use it as a political, football, and to kind of get something out of it for them.
Yeah, cheap points.
Wow, but that's somebody's life and career, man. I guess look what they did to me. Look what they did to you, right? What am I saying? I'm sorry.
Mayor for life. You got to understand about this guy, and really about all of this. Kind of why I call him the Spano crime family is. They'll destroy you if it benefits them in any way to do so. They won't even think twice.
No, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And I'm glad I said it. I'm glad I told people. I said, look what they're going to do to me before they started really doing this. You're going to see how bad it's going to get. So I told you guys, but
that's why I say to a guy like Tony Spano who wants to see me in a bar when I don't even know who he is and look at me like he wants to kill me. Is it, you know what? I'm sure I'll talk to Tony directly. Bro, I'm sure you have no idea what's going on in this situation. I guarantee you, your brother Mike didn't even tell you anything. Even if he he may not even know anything himself. Paul Sweeney, the city's attorney, the private attorney that they brought in from Coughlin and Gerhardt up in Binghamton, he may not even have told your brother everything, for the purpose of letting your brother maintain plausible deniability. Very possible. So if anything, maybe you don't care. Maybe, you just have a policy. If that's my brother, and if you're talking shit about him, then this is the way I'm going to look at you, and this is the way it's going to be. And if that's the case, then that's fine. I mean, I understand that, but I would only assume that you're a father. So if you really do have any interest in knowing what's going on here, everything that John Mueller did, in the first month and a half of this situation, and the reason that I'm so hot about it, do a little digging. Go ask somebody. Ask your brother. If he doesn't know, go ask Paul Sweeney. Maybe he'll tell you. And then you won't have to be giving me those mean mugs when we bump into each other. You'll understand why I'm in this position and why I'm speaking out the way that I am.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. You said, what you just said is that, I'm sure you're a father, right? And, basically saying, look, what I've been through as a father, at least put yourself in those shoes. And think of what I may be going through. And the same, with me too, like, and I had, the city clerk's wife email me talking about family. I said, I hear you. I absolutely, I respect that. I love my family too. And this is what the issue is. And, but it doesn't seem like it's only like, there's no like, there's a thing that's saying what's good for the geese is good for the gander. What is that saying?
What for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah, right. So that's how it is. Like whatever. It's only we only care about us, right, in our family, and screw everybody else's family, right? So I don't know if that's going to be getting anywhere by appealing like that based on my experiences. But I'm going to put up these text messages.
So
here.
I don't know. I don't think we have to read them all verbatim. You could just leave them up there a little bit, and if people want to read them verbatim, they can pause it while they're watching it later on. I'll just give a bit of a synopsis. So I was terminated on November 19th of last year. On November 18th, in the lead up to November 18th, I'm going to cut through some stuff. I'm going to very quickly try to sum up some things that you really need to know that we haven't gotten to yet. This is kind of at the end of the story. We're skipping ahead to it now just to really show how much of a sellout Mike Hanley is. There was an agreement that had been signed. I don't know if I ever mentioned that. Okay, I had an attorney. When they suspended me without pay, we showed up for a hearing. A hearing never took place because in lieu of a hearing, an agreement was signed. An agreement that I most definitely did not want to sign, and that I had been deceived into signing because I had been deceived about what the things in it really meant.
Well, no,
And
I didn't. We didn't. I don't know if we talked about that. Maybe
no,
we'll
we
talk
didn't
about it a
because
little bit.
we hadn't gotten there
Right.
chronologically. We will. I could do a whole podcast on that day
Right.
in the mayor's conference room or whatever it's called up in City Hall. And I would like to do a whole podcast on that
All right.
if you're with it. So,
Yeah, we'll
but just
talk
to
about.
say, for the purposes of explaining what's in these text messages, can you put us on the side over there on the left? All right. Yeah. So
Is that good right there? Or you want to decide?
no, that's fine.
Paul.
That's fine.
All right.
If you don't want to show us all, that's fine. So there was an agreement that had been signed. Now it fell through. Now the city and I will probably argue to the death on why it fell through. It's not really important for the purposes of me explaining these text messages. Like I said, what they do is they take you off the payroll and they try to leverage you into signing paperwork that they want signed, includes a clause that you're not going to sue them. I've said that, I think, ad nauseum. I'll keep saying it, but it's important to keep saying. When that initial agreement fell through, they took a couple of weeks to decide what they were going to do. I didn't hear anything from the city, neither did my attorney. But finally, my attorney says to me, he goes, they're going to act. They're not just going to sit around forever. They're going to act. And he told me what they were probably going to do. And he was right. The black shirts show up at my parents' house one day again. Okay. It's Barbado himself this time and his executive lieutenant, Joe Racine, who I always liked. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they served me with paperwork letting me know that I'm being suspended without pay again. So here we go, round 2. They're going to suspend me without pay again. They're going to try to get me off of the payroll. They're going to take me off of the payroll and try to get me to the table to sign another agreement.
Right.
Okay. Now, at that point, I was getting low on cash, and I let my attorney go.
Right. I was just going to say that real quick, just in case anyone's joining us. I like to reiterate things. So, they want to terminate you without pay, or suspend you without pay, I should say, in order to prevent you from being able to fund your legal representation.
Right.
So it's a tactic.
And a lot of other things. You can't pay your mortgage.
Right.
And
just
it's
squeeze
financial
you.
warfare. They try to squeeze you into just saying, all right, to hell with it. I'll come to the table and I'll sign whatever you want me to sign.
Right.
They had done that. I refused, but my attorney advised me that it was a good idea. He did that for personal benefit. It's something that we'll get into when that day comes. But when that agreement fell through, they want to do it again. So they're going to suspend me without pay again. And in one of these text messages, I say they served me with it on June 17th. We're suspending you without pay again. I got the letter from Carlos Moran. I switch attorneys. I say, look, I tell my attorney, he was asking me, can I research this stuff? And what he's asking me is, will you pay me to research some of this stuff? And I'm like, if you don't know, then you don't know. I'm not paying you to do on-the-job training. Right. So I let him go. And I tell Mike, all right, this was Mike Koch by this time had taken over for Mike Hanley had taken over for Mike Koch by this time. Because Mike Koch I just completely didn't trust at all. Hanley, I said, I'll give him a shot. So I reach out to Hanley in June, and I say, all right, you and Chris work whatever magic you can. I didn't expect much because I know how the CLSA works. Right. That was on the 18th of June. I reached out to Hanley and changed lawyers. Then on the 19th, he must have told the city that I let the union back into the situation. So the 19th, they show up with termination paperwork. You're going to be terminated in a month or something like that. So it's a big show. We have this hearing. They bring in a hack named Robert Ponzini. I like to call him Ponzi because he's a scam artist. He's totally in their pocket. He's a local attorney that represents all the municipalities in Westchester in cases except Yonkers. So I guess they can use him for these hearings, these kangaroo hearings.
I was talking to somebody about that, really quick. And the words that you use, you call the doctors quack, the kangaroo hearings and stuff like that. And I would say, that's Anthony. But they were asking me about that. And I said, that's just the way, I guess he describes the individuals and stuff or the situation. So, but they said that it makes you, kind of be aggressive a little bit or just kind of, disgruntled or angry. So I'm just telling you that just so that way, maybe, that's what I heard. Actually, I heard that a couple of times. So go ahead. I'll put it back.
I'm talking to people like a lot of cops talk. The cops are blue collar guys. You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
I'm not here to deceive anybody.
Right.
This is the way I talk. So I'm not going to talk like I'm, giving a eulogy in church or something like that. I'm going to talk the way I talk on a daily basis.
Right. But they have used that against you, and even I know
that's
what you mean.
nonsensical. So my career is going to be terminated 2 years shy of retirement because I call doctors quacks.
Well, perception now, perception from people and your support now is what I'm saying. But anyway,
Right.
go ahead. I don't.
So, long story short, it gets to the point where Mike Spano is basically getting tired of this, and he reaches out to me using Vinny and my father. Vinny and my father are going to have a conversation. My father basically says to him, "Why don't you just call Anthony? You know Anthony since he's a kid." So Vinny says, "Okay," and he calls me and he tells me, "I just spoke to the mayor." He refers to his brother as the mayor instead of just saying my brother.
Yeah, no, he does that. Yeah, he does. You're right.
The mayor, and he says, the mayor, he wants to know what it's going to take to put this to bed. I said, I don't think there is anything, Vin. This guy is evil. Talk about Mully. He's got to be stopped, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it might be one thing if you were offering me a guarantee that I'm going to get back to work if I sign all this nonsense, but you're not even doing that. You're basically saying sign all your rights away and then go see more of our doctors, knowing that the first one took orders from us to fail you. I mean, like, what am I, an idiot? So there was nothing that was going to happen. So
he wanted you to just go see the doctor and sign the paper. That was.
It was more complicated than that, but for the purposes of showing, what a sellout Mike Hanley is, let's just say this. I get a phone call one day after they served me with the paperwork saying that you're coming back off the payroll, you're going to be suspended without pay again.
Right.
They didn't do it. There was some confusion up in the office on the 3rd floor. And though they had served me with a letter, they never stopped paying me. I had direct deposit, and every 2 weeks I was still getting a paycheck. And I told Hanley about this. And he goes, let me tell you something. He goes, I know, what was the deputy mayor? Steve Levy. He goes, I know Steve Levy. I know how he is. If he knew you were still getting paid, he wouldn't stand for it for 2 seconds. I said, I don't know, bro. I can't see an oversight like this. He goes, trust me. Turns out he was right. Right. Now, in anticipation of getting terminated, because I knew I wasn't going to sign anything, I knew we were inevitably going to terminate. I filed a petition, a child support petition with the family court, letting them know I'm about to get terminated. I'm going to need, an amendment. Now, that's not as easy to do. That turned out to be a whole other nightmare. But, everyone thinks I'm so calculated and I got it all figured out. It's not the case. This is all foreign to me. Right. I mean, I'm learning as I go along.
Yeah, I was going to say, you learn as you go along. And that's why I've learned a lot. My issues.
So they had suspended me without pay with the paperwork, but they forgot to take me off the payroll. And they were wondering why they weren't hearing from me. They weren't hearing from Hanley. And Hanley's like, don't say a word, bro. One thing he did do right as the union president, he didn't rat me out that I was still getting paid. So I'll give you credit for that, Mike. All right. And we talk about it a little bit.
Well, because that's probably a little bit maybe of guilt, right? You're feeling bad for the situation. At least let them go. I don't want to.
But also it keeps him in a good position because if I'm at home getting paid and I'm happy and I'm not saying anything and the city thinks I'm off the payroll and they're waiting for me to just get so frustrated that I come to them ready to sign paperwork, but it doesn't happen. They're waiting. I'm waiting. He's not expected to do anything by either side. So he's just chilling in the middle.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So he acts like, it was just because he's on my side that he's not saying anything.
Right.
No, it's not. It's because he's playing both sides against the middle until the city puts pressure on him. You know what I mean?
And I think a lot of it too is that, it shows other people maybe too that he was on your side in that situation, right?
Yeah. I mean, audio.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that he was just showing other people that he was on your side in this situation. Maybe the only one time that he might have been on your side on this situation.
I want to elaborate a little bit on what's in some of those text messages. So, this is basically, so what they did was when the family court called the job, see, this is what they do. If I had known that the family court was going to do this, I would have never filed the petition when I did. Because when I filed the petition in anticipation of being terminated, the family court called the job to confirm that I was actually about to be terminated or terminated to find out what my pay status was. So when the city double checked, they said, holy shit, he's still getting paid. He's been getting paid for months. Right?
Yeah.
I just screwed myself, but I didn't realize that was going to happen.
So
Mike Spano, Mayor for Life totally flipped out. Okay. At one point, I heard he was talking about getting Liam involved.
I was going to say, what do you mean by totally flipped out? He was going to get Liam involved?
He thought that one of my relatives who works in the police commissioner's office had something to do with it. In other words, like they were manipulating the paperwork to keep me on the payroll. There was nothing like that going on. And actually, from what I was told, Mueller, nut job that he is, actually defended my aunt, who was apparently the one who was supposed to take me off the payroll but didn't. And Mueller stepped in and said, "No, there's all these emails that were telling her that he's supposed to stay on the payroll." It was just confusion. But he was so hot about it because I wasn't coming to the table that he wanted someone's head because I hadn't been taken off of the payroll.
Right.
But it was nothing like that. I would never ever ask my sister or my aunt or anybody in my family to scheme for me and put their own head in a noose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when I know that this is going to end in my termination. I'm not signing anything.
Right.
There's no reason to kick the can down the road and get my own family members in trouble in the process.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But,
what is it? Anthony, go to 300 Quadopras. Okay. Ask for Perry Carbone. He would love to hear about your bribery and corruption. Ask a 2-time convicted felon about Perry. I don't know.
I don't need an attorney at the moment, but I'll talk to you more about that offline, Jim.
Yeah.
So all right. So now the gig is up. The city knows that I've been on the payroll, and apparently I wasn't supposed to be. Well, I was supposed to be because this should never happen in the first place. But they had served me with the paperwork. They forgot to take me off the payroll. I'm getting paid this whole time. So I get a phone call on the morning of November 18th. I'm on my way to a wedding, and someone up on the 3rd floor tells me, "You're coming back off of the payroll. I just heard a conversation about it. They're about to take you back off the payroll the right way this time." I say, "Okay." And at about 1:11, you can see there on the left, the top half of that text is not really important, and I was pressed for space, so
yeah.
I just picked up at the important part. I let them know I'm not signing anything, bro. I know that they're taking me off the payroll again because they want to get me to the table and force me to sign paperwork. It's not happening. I'm not signing anything. No more psychological games. I had my daughter's mother lying in wait in the family court with a very powerful subpoena waiting to get her hands on any report except the one that was already in existence because she wasn't going to use that because it's a fraud. So I said, all this psychological stuff is over with. I'm not signing anything. What's going to happen is Chris is going to tell them to either make this right or fire me. And if they fire me, Article 78 time. Article 78 of the civil practice laws, civil practice laws and rules, the CPLR, which is what is the kind of hearing you go to when you want to challenge a government agency's decision.
Right.
Okay. That's what he's supposed to do for me, Mike Hanley. That's what the union is supposed to do for me. What's the problem? Why can't he do that? Because this situation, this ruling is going to come down within 10 minutes of me walking into a courtroom with it because I have such a mountain of evidence and they have nothing, the city, very little. Okay. And then Hanley's not going to get his prize. He's going to piss off the mayor. He's going to piss off John Mueller. So now look at the time difference at 1:11. Seriously, Article 78, if need be, they need to shake it off the pot. Okay. Now, over 3 hours goes by before he responds to me in any way, shape, or form. And he says, "Call me if you can," at almost 4:30. By that point, I'm at the wedding. And I text him back, "Okay, in a few minutes." After the wedding's over, I go outside and I call him. And as I wrote in there, I call Hanley, who tells me that he just got a call saying that I'm going to be terminated the next day.
Wow.
And I said, "You know what he did? You know what he did? He called the mayor and said, 'Don't bother taking him off the payroll because he's not going to sign anything.'"
Right.
When he tells the mayor that, the mayor calls Paul Sweeney, relays the message, and Paul Sweeney says, "Don't bother taking him off the payroll, just fire him." Right? Because if they just suspend me without pay and we walk into an Article 78 hearing, it's all going to come unraveled. The mayor can't have that. And if Mike Hanley wants to be rewarded at the end of his tenure as CLSA president, then he can't have it either. Right? And I said, now.
What was the explanation? Why were you being fired? Why did this decision all of a sudden come?
Well, this is where at the bottom I said, "Oh, just curious what happened. Had a suspension without pay in the morning turned into termination by afternoon. We had an opportunity to Article 78 their decision and shed sunlight on what's going on, but now they've been mysteriously spared that." Right?
Right.
And he says, "I don't know. I got a call at 4:30 from the chief telling me they thought that you were getting paid since July. They thought that you were not getting paid since July. Not sure if they got whatever it says." He's trying to say, "I just got a call from the chief," as if there's no connection between me telling him that I'm not going to sign paperwork and him getting a call from the chief at 4:00. There is a connection. You called him and told him. You prick.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it says here they thought that you were getting paid since July. Not sure if they got pissed. I really don't think this is over.
I think what he meant to say is they thought that you were not getting paid since July. They found out that you are.
Okay. but he goes, not sure if they got pissed. So basically, he's just saying that they might have found out that you were getting paid. They thought that you weren't, so now they got pissed, so they're gonna fire you because of that.
Right, except that that's not what happened because somebody else had already called me in the morning to tell me what their next move was going to be.
Okay.
Then when he finds out how I'm going to counter their next move, how I'm going to respond to their next move, he relays that message to them, and they alter their move. Right? They don't want an Article 78 hearing based on suspension without pay. That's going to ruin everything.
Right.
Right. So the attorney, Paul Sweeney, says, okay, it's the nuclear option. You just have to terminate him and send him off into the world to look for an attorney with no income.
Yeah.
That's the strategy, right?
Yep.
So now I'm going at it with Hanley. It makes me wonder if my union.
Yo, I like this channel. Yonkers is bonkers for sure. You guys are doing good work. Thanks, you, Son of Sam Truth. Manny Grossman.
It makes me wonder if my union tipped them off. That there would be an Article 78 over there removing me from the payroll and allowed them to spare themselves the sunlight. Now he and I are going at it. You can read it for yourselves. He's trying to say, well, if I'm on your side, if I'm not on your side, if I'm conspiring against you, why would I not have reported to them that you've been on the payroll this whole time? Right. I say, because that makes your job easier, Mike. I said, Mike, I'm not saying that you're trying to get me fired, that you're trying to hurt me. I'm just saying that you're not going to help me if they don't want me. They don't want me to. There's a big difference.
Yeah, you're not hurting me, but you're not helping me. And technically, your job is to help me, right? It's one thing if you're just another officer or colleague and you're not hurting or helping, but your job is to help. Right? Definitely not to hurt. I'll just read it real quick. He goes, are you effing kidding me, Anthony? I have been trying to help you for the last 5 effing months. That's effing insulting. You have consistently made wrong decisions against mine and Chris' advice, but now I am also conspiring against you. I'm the guy who for the last several months been telling you they think you are not on the payroll and to keep quiet about that. Unreal.
Right. I did keep quiet. The family court tipped them off. I didn't tell them that they were still paying me by accident. Yeah, you're right, Ryan. It is. Right now he's telling me that no, I kept quiet. I didn't rat you out. So obviously I'm on your side, right? I said, well, no. I said they had already taken me off the payroll. I said that decision was made this morning. Then I texted you asking Chris to start an Article 78 hearing over that decision, and within hours they bumped it up to termination. Okay. Just like in June. And that we already talked about that text. So, and he goes, oh, but you have been on the payroll since June. I guess that fact escapes you. I said, no, it hasn't escaped me. But since you have no better explanation for it than I do, I can only assume that you had no hand in making it happen. Right? So if I'm wrong, please advise. Now, these last couple of texts are kind of important. He says, no, I have no idea how it happened, referring to me staying on the payroll by accident.
Right.
But I never said anything to the city. But now you think I ran to them telling them you were planning a Section 78 appeal or whatever you are planning. How does that make sense? If I am conspiring with the city, wouldn't I tell them to take you off the payroll so they could put the financial squeeze on you earlier? Well, Mike, if you were proactively conspiring with them, you're passively conspiring with them. You know what I mean? You're trying to help me without hurting them. You're trying to present me with ridiculous options that keep the mayor and Mueller nice and safe. Okay? There's only one option here. Okay, we take all the evidence that I have of this and we take it to a courtroom and we go to war. And if they fire me, then they fire me anyway. Then we'll fight it a different way.
Right.
Okay. And I tell him no, because as long as I'm getting paid, I'm content and not starting court proceedings that expose other people. So it was like I was saying, it was a bit of a trench warfare truce. Granted, it was fraudulent on their end because they didn't know that I was getting paid. And that was the reason that I wasn't communicating with anybody. Sitting home getting paid, accruing time towards my retirement. So, of course, I'm not going to say anything. Right. I screwed myself by contacting the family court, who then contacted the job. Okay, so Mike Hanley is supposed to go to an Article 78 hearing over this. There's no way around it. There's no way for him around it. But what he says is, oh, well, Chris Harold doesn't think it's a good idea. Well, no, I know what's going on. You're telling Chris Harold that you're not going to do it, and then you're coming back to me saying that he doesn't think it's a good idea. I'm not an idiot.
But isn't it what you want? Isn't it what you want to do?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I'm sure you told him that's what I want to do. So, what was his response? I mean, did you say this is what I want?
His response was the middle finger. His response was go pound sand.
Oh, wow. Sorry for off topic. One old story I'm really interested in is the Nick Wasisco suicide.
Don't know anything about it.
Yeah, but you know what? If you want, email me at politicwithfred@gmail.com. Politicwithfred@gmail.com. We can talk or chat up there.
So, I would ask the people watching if you really want, a good idea of how what I'm saying about the union is true. I don't know. I'll have to
Yeah,
talk
I
to
mean,
Danielle
they definitely,
offline
I
about
mean,
that.
this just right there, that's wrong, right? And I'm gonna bring this up. Just right there, I mean, that says everything to me, right? People want the proof and stuff, but this is evidence. This is proof. This shows that the union does not support its members. You wanted to do an Article 78 appeal. They didn't do it for you. He basically said they gave you a middle finger. That's not what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to give you the middle finger. They're supposed to do that. So how the hell can they just get away with that?
Well, what they're doing, probably what the mayor is telling them is, don't worry about it. If he's off the payroll, he's gonna have a hard time finding attorneys. He was right. I did have a hard time finding attorneys. Finally, one attorney who was interested in the case but couldn't take it because of a conflict told me. He said, "Let me give you some good advice." He says, "Stop looking in Westchester.
Yeah.
Go down the city. None of these lawyers in Westchester are going to take on the Spanos. You know what I mean? Nobody has any idea how long he's going to be around, how many terms he's going to do. They're very powerful. They're either friends with all the attorneys, or the attorneys are friends with them, beholden to them, afraid of them. You're going to have a tough time here." He was right, because I aroused the interest of other attorneys once I started looking down in the city. One of the main reasons that we haven't done anything yet is because of my little girl. The consensus among the attorneys is that I can't go to war with the city unless I also go to war with my daughter's mother.
Right.
Because right now, the only thing that
it's a big part of it.
The only thing that we can prove is that she retaliated against me. We all know that they made her do it. You got a lot of evidence of it. But unless she's going to come out and say that, well, she's going to have to be named in the lawsuit. That's going to destroy my co-parenting relationship with my kid, which is already, being puppeted on her end by Mayor for Life.
Right.
And it's a nightmare of a situation. But I'm biding my time. I'm trying things the easy way before I try them the hard way.
I can, Anthony, I can see the pain in your eyes, man. And as a father, I can't imagine what you're going through, but I can understand the amount of love a father has for their child, man, and to not be with them. So I see it in your face, and I want to highlight that because this is what I want to show people and why we need change. I mean, look at what you're going through. Look what I'm going through. Look at the pain in your eyes. Look at the pain in my wife's eyes the other day when I had her on the podcast. And this is what I'm saying. How can they just be allowed to get away with this? How can they just say, okay, you know what? F you. You're not getting the Article 78. Screw you. You're not getting paid anymore. Your pension's gone. Everything's gone. Your life is destroyed. And now your daughter also, we've interrupted that relationship. And that's
the sad. Okay. My daughter is growing up in my daughter's mother is in a very precarious situation. Obviously I can't stop fighting for what they took from me, my pension. I don't really want my job back. I would like to get my pension someday. That would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, man.
Maybe get some of my time back and get the pension. I would be fine with that. But until there's some resolution to the situation, whether it be one way or another. My daughter's, yeah, you're right, Danny. Absolutely. My daughter's mother she's gonna be in this precarious situation where she has to maintain the status quo, which is basically hanging me out to dry, or she has to incur the wrath of Mayor for Life and his family by starting to talk. I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. But here's the thing: the real problem with it is that there's all this faux hostility, this fraudulent hostility coming mostly from her because she has to pretend to believe that all the things she said about me are real. Right? She has her son basically under orders not to look at me or speak to me, even though they do sometimes on their own when she's not around. But you can tell that there's a big act being put on, and it's all taking its toll on my daughter, who doesn't know that it's all fake. She doesn't know she's only 8 years old. She's growing up in a fraudulently hostile environment.
Right.
For the sole purpose of the preservation of Mayor for Life's politics.
Anthony, as much as people will say negative things about you, and people have said this to me, Freddie, why do you have Anthony on? You mentioned this before, it's redundant, but there is a reason, there's a purpose, and it's, people are not, this is what I want people to really understand. And although we want them to understand the corruption, but to see how you are being affected, right? And then some people want to say, oh, he's aggressive or he's this and stuff. People don't understand what you're going through.
No,
they don't understand the pain that's inside you, and this is your child, right?
They don't understand everything that I lost. They just don't understand.
Absolutely.
Mueller took everything he could possibly take from me. Everything. My job, my pension, my house, my kid for a year. For the rest of my life, if I get pulled over for going 10 miles over the speed limit, cops going to run my name in the computer and see that there was an order of protection against me saying that I mistreat my kid.
Right.
They don't understand how serious it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And one retired cop that I was talking to a while back, probably a year ago, he said to me, I was telling him all this. We were talking for hours, and he goes, "This is just what happens when you let money decide who's going to be the police commissioner."
I wanted to also just follow up that what I was saying by bringing up the mother of your child and saying how much pain you have, and you can see it, and that you're that shows me that you're not what the outside is because of what you're going through. And I try to tell that to people, and also the fact that you care so much about the mother of your child that you really don't go all the way like you could to protect her. And she was somewhat involved, and I get she was forced into that or pressured into that, but it's still a serious thing that she decided to do, even and still not saying, hey, this is what they did, and coming out with it, because that's the right thing to do, really. And you're going through that pain and you're still defending her. That says a lot about you. Well, to me, at least, that says a lot.
I have a certain time window to take court action. We're only a portion of a way through that time window. It's at some point when it starts to dwindle down, if she hasn't budged at all, then it's probably going to come down to me having to name her in the lawsuit that I really don't want to have to file.
Right. And I was going to say that at one point, do you just say, you know what? I have to do this because I have to protect myself and my interests, and I want to see my daughter. I want to have these things, and I can't live like this anymore. And at what point do you say that and just go with it, right? And so I guess you said that you have that window, and when that time comes, I guess you're prepared to that.
Yeah. Enough with the morbidity. You got some energy in you tonight? You want to talk about that video?
Yeah. No. I somebody said to me, Freddie, I like that you could show your emotion, because I've been emotional too. But that's human, and I don't care. You could be the toughest guy, and I believe you can kick people's ass, but you can still be emotional. And I think that people have to understand just how much you're impacted, because they're police. I mean, I'm not police. I'm sorry. There are people out there that don't know you, right? And they may have maybe a negative thing, especially maybe they heard from other people, or maybe some of the, when you say quack and this, that, and the third, you have that. And so they may not see this. And I think sometimes seeing that side, I know you don't see it, but I think seeing also that side of you also, maybe, because I talk from experience, people kind of say, you're kind of rough, but then when they see me soften up, they understand a little better, and my message gets to them, more than I would. So that's all I'm saying. I think that, it's important. I just want to go over these times.
We all wear different masks in life, man.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Keep fighting for yourself and your daughter, Anthony. You see, and this is what people will definitely do, support, because people understand that, man. Children.
Thanks, Denise.
My life and my families have been severely affected this past year due to these corrupt people in Yonkers government and the YFD and YPD death and their human rights. Yes. And there's someone that I know they reached out to me yesterday night. I messaged back. I didn't get a response. I didn't just want to call because it was late. I apologize. So please, let's try to make that happen. I just want to get that. They control your narrative. What a shame. What a shame. It wasn't like this inside police politics 2 generations ago, right?
I wasn't around 2 generations ago. I couldn't possibly speculate. Probably worse.
All right. So let's get into, what did you say? You want to, really quick, we're at 1 hour and 8 minutes here. So really quick, what are you going to mention?
Well, I mean, you're the one setting the time limit. If you got some energy in you, we could keep going for a little bit.
Is there something you wanted to touch on specifically?
Do you want to talk about the city council meeting? You said you wanted to ask me a couple of things about
it. Yeah, we could do that, because I wanted to mention it because you had spoke about Tony's. I want to say Tony Soprano. That's why I stutter. Tony Spano. He was at Fogarty's, if I'm saying it, I don't know if I'm saying it right. Fogarty's, the night of the Tough Man boxing thing. You were there. He was there. And I think you guys kind of had a little staring contest.
I'm just going by what things were said. It's no secret that you've been dumping off some communications between you and Vinny.
Yeah.
Lately. So I know what he said to you. and he basically told you that he heard that I was trying to fight with his brother. I had never seen his brother before. I had never met his brother. I had never seen him. I had only heard his name a couple of times. My father told me that one time he bumped into him at Gianna's and was talking to him about the situation.
Mm.
Um,
So you've never
now-
seen Tony Spano? No, it seems like the elusive Spano.
I said to him, "Who are you?" He's staring at me like he wants to kill me. This guy. I said, "Who are you?" Tony Spano. So, oh well, that explains the hostile look. But but here's the thing. I had never seen him before, but he obviously knew who I was, which means what?
Right. Well,
means
he's watching.
He's watching these podcasts, right?
He's watching.
So,
former head of Republican Party. Yeah, John. That's John. I'm gonna share the screen here.
Yeah, no problem.
And I wanted to see. I think because he showed up there. He was there that night at the.
He said I was trying to fight him. I said, well, first of all, how do you try to fight somebody?
I don't know. Is that?
If you want to fight somebody, you just walk up to him and start fighting him.
Well, from what I heard, you started. You picked the stuff. You were talking tough. Now, I just want to see if you see anyone here, maybe at the video plays, if you can spot him, because I really don't know what he looks like.
Lady of Rage.
Yes. Anywhere here? Anyone of these gentlemen?
Now this is like Jerry Springer.
What's that?
I said, now this is like Jerry Springer.
Right, and it's funny that you say that because people have said that trying to sell my podcast. Oh, it's a lot of like Jerry Springer. It's what I said, because I'm covering Yonkers politics. I mean, it happens to be that way by default. I can't help it. But I wanted to see if we could get this guy, because there was a lot of people I had not seen before anywhere here.
That's Tony right there in the middle.
This guy here?
With his arms folded, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's him?
Yeah.
It's amazing how you can picture someone before you see them and have a completely different image of them in your head. I don't know why I thought he was going to be a lot bigger. Not that he's not big. I'm just saying, like, wider and stockier. I thought I figured he could bench press like, me. He probably can, this guy. I don't know. This guy here?
That's him.
And so he's an MTA police officer.
He's the vice president of the PBA in the MTA police department.
In MTA. Yeah. So why would he be there? Those ladies' nails are off the chain. She was off the chain that night. Why would he be here?
Tony?
Yeah, by the door.
Well, if you look all the way to the left there with the hat on.
This guy?
You see our buddy Keith Olsen.
Oh, yeah, that is Keith. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that is Keith. And that's actually a Bronx DA
my
here.
My theory, and it's just a theory, is that they didn't like that I showed up to the last one and had nothing but pals, I guess, there, you would say. We weren't talking about any of this stuff. Just saying hello to people and stuff like that, and you spoke about it on the last podcast.
Right. So you're saying that maybe that, they anticipated you might be coming back.
Right.
And so as a result, they came with, they came prepared, because you came last time, right? The first meeting when they introduced it, you showed up, you met me there in the front. We walked up together, and then you started shaking a lot of people's hands. And I said that. I went on the podcast and I said, I was expecting something different, because, a lot of people don't like you from what I hear. And so, and a lot of people said that if you were to show up at something like this, that there would be problems. And you showed up, and there was just a lot of handshaking.
You're hearing that all from Vinny. You're hearing that all from Vinny.
No. I'll be honest. It wasn't just from Vinny. No, not just from Vinny. No. The person that told me that if you walked into, the tough man competition that night, that you would have got killed, wasn't Vinny.
That person was probably 13 beers deep.
No, I don't think so. Maybe they don't know the situation all the way. Maybe they don't know, and they're kind of just talking from what they're hearing. You know what I mean? But I don't think they were against you, that person. I'm just saying.
Now, Keith Olsen's MO.
I wonder really quick when the mayor will put out a statement on this. Normally, a statement is given, especially in a situation like this. I think he didn't want it to go away.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Keith Olsen's MO, something that he's been doing, for a lot of years to people that he doesn't like and wants to get into trouble, is that he tries to bait them into becoming very confrontational, even physical with him. On a previous podcast, I think when we were talking about the Sussman deposition with Mueller, we talked about a guy named Boxer and how Boxer and Mueller hate each other. Well, Boxer and Keith Olsen, aren't fans of each other either over a lot of the same issues. And from what I gather, I remember Boxer telling me this a lot of years ago. One day Keith basically called him or texted him or something to meet with them over on North Broadway somewhere or something like that. And he said, "Oh, yeah, all right," because they wanted to talk out their differences or something like that. In the interim, before the meeting was supposed to happen, somebody else reached out to Boxer and said, "Don't go. Keith's going to try to bait you into hitting him. And Brian Moran is going to be down the street in a car with a camera filming it."
Wow.
So this
look,
this is the way they operate. So I'm thinking they were hoping that I would show up, and you see Tony's there, that aisle there, that's where you walk into the room. So
right.
Tony's there on the right, Keith Olsen is sitting down there on the left. They're probably hoping that I'm going to walk in and say something stupid, which I'm not going to do because I'm not that kind of person. It was Tony that got stupid with me first at Fogarty's.
And now, was Jeffrey Sage hired by the Yonkers Police Department that you know of? Or maybe any, because he was standing by the door like he was security. Well, he was standing by the door security. But really quick, I want to touch on what you said, right? You said that Keith Olsen had invited the boxer, right? The boxer guy to come and meet him somewhere. And then he was called up and he was told not to go. Somebody warned him, said, "Don't go. They're going to try to set you up, bait you to get you into a fight. And then there's some guy's going to be another officer, someone's going to be in a car to videotape it," right? That's what you just said. Okay, so why I bring that up is because, interestingly enough, the guy that was arrested at this meeting, Hector Santiago, who's going to be doing a live, I guess, interview or whatever, talking about what happened there, because he was arrested by a New Rochelle police officer, detective that was there that night, and he supposedly got roughed up. But here's the interesting thing with you mentioning that him being there that night and Keith Olsen and all that is that I think Hector Santiago tried to do that to me. So he met up with me, right? And the whole goal for me was to meet up with him to kind of, say, listen, we're both in the community, we're trying to help. We don't have to have any issue, whatever. And he was having issues with other people. So he comes to me and he's right away aggressive, right? Right away. "Oh, why are you saying this?" And he brings up Tasha Diaz's name and Lorraine Lopez's name. And I'm like, "Why are you bringing up those people?" And then he's getting aggressive. And then he starts, I said, "You know what? Look, just do me a favor. Don't message my wife again," because he had messaged her some stupid stuff. Then he had seen on time.
That's off limits, man.
Right.
You can't mess with family.
Exactly. But then you know what he does? He calls her a B. He goes, "I don't care about that B. Oh, F that B." That's what he kept calling my wife, a B. And I'm like, yo, this dude right here, And I said, dude, that's so disrespectful. So then he tells me to go around the corner. He wants me to go to this location with him to fight. And I'm like, you fight right here, dude, if you're going to fight, right? So anyway, it seems like it was a similar thing. Like I was being baited, and that maybe they wanted me, by him saying that to me about my wife and getting me, kind of that angry, that he wanted me to swing on him first, right? And that somebody might have been there.
Very possible.
Right?
Yep.
Because I don't know why it just kind of came that way when I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then we actually, unfortunately, he swung on me, though. He ended up swinging on me first. So I had to defend myself. And then he went to the police department to try to make a report on me and get me in trouble. So that's when I knew, I was like, these people are going to try to set me up. And so that you mentioned that story, and he was there that night. He got arrested and all that. Now he's doing this whole lawsuit thing, and he's going to go live and all that. And he got his face smashed, but he only has a couple bruises on his arm where it looks like maybe they grabbed him.
I mean, he a lot of times bruises happen just from people trying to score you out or it's.
My wife, believe it or not, she bruises easily. Sometimes she can't even tell you how she got the bruise, right? And I'm like, honey, that's kind of scary that you just get bruising like that, right? I mean, it's never like anywhere. It's like it'll be on a leg or something. Maybe I don't know, she might have hit herself and she didn't realize it, but she's the kind of person that kind of have and she won't even know. So maybe some people just get, you touch them and something like that, because I was expecting his whole face to be like smashed up. You know what I mean? But I just saw a couple
because
more.
I was going, sometimes I find myself going back and forth with Handjob Harrod more often than I should.
Yeah, I was told that you shouldn't do that. You should just not even acknowledge him.
Yeah. I mean, some people get mad at me for giving him oxygen, but I kind of enjoy it. He's such a repetitive tool.
Right. But he's doing that on purpose. He wants you to go back and forth with him. You know that.
Yeah, probably.
He doesn't care about. He's not playing the battle of the wits. Obviously, you're smart. You're smarter than him. But what you're doing is you're engaging him in exactly what he wants. So in a way, it's like, because he doesn't care if he's going to say something that's going to be more wittier than it's just the fact that you're giving the energy.
He doesn't care about the facts. He's,
right.
If
he can get you to respond 100 times, he did his job. Look, I got him to respond 100 times. Right. You know what I'm saying?
It's the same thing over and over again. I'm bipolar. I need help.
We all are.
For my medical disability pension.
We all are. All jokes aside, how does Tasha wipe herself? I don't know. I don't even want to think about it.
What I said to Harrod was, in the comment section, I said, look.
Did he actually do anything? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I wonder if that was a stage thing, that whole thing with Hector. But anyway, go ahead.
I told Harrod, I said, I know when he put that, he posted that Hector's going to be coming out tomorrow. I don't even know this Hector guy, so I'm not going to talk any smack about him. But I said, I know those cops. All three of them. I know them personally. Okay? They don't, they don't come over my house and eat dinner once a week, but I know them all personally, going way back. And I'm telling you right now, none of them did anything to him. Those are not violent guys. Those are not.
I mean, he's the guy that started the Stop and Shake. Guys. He started the Stop and Shake campaign, which is to, foster good relations with community and police. I mean, that's like. It's weird.
Well, it's good that you mentioned that, because I only had one conversation with him on Facebook, and he was kind of getting mad at me over a comment that I had made or something, but we ended up talking cordially, and I got the impression that he's a little bit concerned about his reputation in the aftermath of Stop and Shake. The street, I think the street considers him a little too close to the cops. So I think maybe he's trying to do things to distance himself from the police for the purposes of street cred. You know what I mean? That's the impression I got.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just a theory. I don't know.
Well, I think he's very concerned with his whole everything legacy and stuff. But I actually reached out to him. I said, hey, I would love to have you on the show to discuss it, because I mean, not that it's just an incident that happened at this meeting that I think it's crazy. And then he was arrested by a New Rochelle detective, and then you have Brian Harrod kind of bashing the guy, saying, hey, Detective Richie, I can't wait till Detective Richie smashes Diana Sanchez, the woman that Tasha Diaz was yelling at, face on the floor of City Hall like he did to Hector. What is wrong with that guy? He's inciting violence and all that stuff, and then yet they'd say Freddie Vasquez is the problem.
Yeah, he does. He tries for. He does. They call it headline pornography. Political.
I already know, Vinny. He's a fraud. Look up his history. A lot of skeleton in his closet. He thought he was going to get a paying job in office in City Hall for Stop and Shake. Shaking my head. Do you know what really happened there with that situation? I just found that to be very weird, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh, no, you're not talking to me. Okay.
I was talking to that person. If they know what actually happened, but I know what that person's talking about in terms of the skeleton, but I mentioned it anyway.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right. Well, crazy. Yeah, I doubt those three cops. I'm not going to mention them by name. All stand-up guys, real good guys.
Yeah.
I just, they're not going to get frisky with anybody. They're not. They're going to do their job. That was all SIU. That was all the Special Investigations Unit.
Yeah. I know I don't know one of them, but I've had, spoken to and dealt with one of them, and I could agree with them. That one, at least out of the three, he is a good guy. He's a good guy. A lot, always treated me very well with respect and stuff like that, the officer. So I agree with that. And he actually, the one that I'm saying, he actually said, I got him, and he took Hector out. Like, he kind of wanted to do it gently, and he kind of walked out with him. So then they walked out, which is why I was confused after that.
Well, Hector was saying that something happened out in the hallway. That's basically what he's saying. I don't know if I buy it.
What about these guys? Are these SIU guys, special investigation guys?
Yeah, it's funny that they're actually wearing black shirts, right?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Right. The black shirts.
No, but those are good guys. I know those two. I know
this guy here.
I've
seen it. He seems like a good guy. He's been nice to me.
Yeah, he is a good guy. For the life of me, I can't remember his name at the moment.
Yeah.
The tall guy in the back with the gray hair, that's Frank McDonald. That's
the VP, right?
Yeah, the VP. He's going to be the next PBA president.
Big guy. I've seen him. Big guy. Election. And then Tony Spano here. And he looks like Vinny Spano, actually. He looks like Vinny.
He's brewing, man. He's something's going on in his head. He's not happy.
Yeah, he looks mad. Yeah, I was wondering what you would say. Yeah, he does look pissed off. Vinny has that face too when he gets upset.
Yeah, he does
You
look
know,
like Vinny. Yeah.
yeah, doesn't he?
Now, the cop on the right with the bald head, I know him. He's also a great guy.
Yes, that's the guy I'm talking about. Yeah, he is a good guy. He's always showing me respect, always treating me good. Good dude. Yeah, good
Yep.
officer.
Yep. So these are all good guys, you know.
Yeah, and there goes my cousin right here, 4 more years. Erwin, I hope it wasn't you involved with that, Erwin, with that video. I know you're Vinny Spano's best friend. He was his best man. They call him Erwin Spano. This is the sister here, Eleanor. I was told she was not allowed in City Hall anymore. Who's this guy? This guy here. You ever seen this guy before?
I don't know. That kind of looks like, you know, I have no idea who that is, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say he looks like that Geo guy a little bit. I don't know. Does he?
Oh, okay.
Is that who that is?
I don't know. I've never seen.
I don't know. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, okay.
I could totally be wrong about that. I have no idea. I never met that guy Geo. I think I saw a picture of him at one point somewhere. I don't remember. So maybe that's him. I don't know.
And there was just a lot of people there. I'm just like, why is everybody just being allowed to be involved, kind of, right? You can't really tell. Like this guy and this, I know I believe she's an activist, but she's in the seat area. This guy was moving around like he runs things. I just found that to be weird.
Well, who needs there to be order when there's all a dog and pony show anyway? The vote is in, so it's not like nothing that takes place there is going to change the votes.
Was this yeah, hey John, I'll talk to you about that later, right? Crazy, John. No denying, right? Maybe not yes, but no denying. I know it. It's facts. Anyway, there goes Hector Santiago there with the hat. In case you didn't know, this guy right here. It's like I said, he's a good good guy officer here. He's always been cordial and friendly. He looked like he was just upset about the whole situation and all the nonsense that was just going on. And he's just like, come on. But he told the other officer, I got him, and he ended up walking out with him. And so. But there was 2 guys, and one of the guy with the gray sweatshirt and the black hat was able to walk back in, which I thought that was interesting. I'm like, who's this guy? Was he not involved? In this guy right here was, and I hear he might be an activist also or something like that. There goes Keith Olsen.
Yeah.
But look, it looks like there's some issues between them 2, Hector and this guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea who that is.
I wish I can get some straight answers here on that. I really do. I'm gonna just play it real quick and just let it play it through. See, the guy with the gray, he came back in, but they're pulling him out. So who's this guy here with the Cowboys hat? Did you see that?
Yeah, see if you can. Yeah, I don't.
He seemed to be kind of in the mix.
I don't know who that is.
Maybe he's an employed DPW guy. That guy right here.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then Tony Soprano. I always want to say Tony Soprano.
He's brewing, man. There's something going on in there. He's not happy.
Maybe because I wasn't there and they didn't get to beat me up. Because I honestly think that maybe that's what it was. They were creating a diversion, create this whole thing, and then somebody was going to come up and beat me up. And while all this was happening, and then they were going to say, oh, Freddie was involved and he started something and he got beat up. That's what I don't know why I think that. That's what my gut is telling me. So
he must have thought that I wasn't going to anticipate a bunch of goons showing up to try to,
well, listen,
bait me into a confrontation. To say, of course I did. I'm no idiot. I mean,
yeah, something wasn't right. That's kind of why I left early. Actually, I knew it. This guy here, he's walking up like he's part of it, and then there's some guy that's like hitting the cameras. He's a good cop. Which one? And I want to shout him out. This one. If he's the good cop, I want to shout him out if they're good. I don't ever want to listen. I want to get it right. The ones,
I can tell you right now, the 2 black shirts in the middle.
These 2 are good guys.
Those are real good guys.
Shout out to you, officers.
The bald guy on the right is a real good guy.
Shout out to you.
Real funny guy. I mean, I don't want to call him like he's a clown. He's not. He's he's a real good dude. He's a solid.
No, he is. I mean that genuinely.
He's got a great sense of humor.
No, I'm saying that genuinely. You saying that I'm being funny? No.
No. I'm saying I don't want to call him. He say he's funny like Joe Pesci, like funny how, like he's a clown. I'm just saying, he's a stand-up guy. He's a good guy, but he's got a good sense of humor. Even Frank McDonald, the tall guy in the back, He's a real
He's
good
good.
guy. I known him. I knew
Yeah.
him for years, even before I was a cop.
Yeah.
You know, I known him probably 20 years.
And then look at this guy here. Who's this?
That I don't know.
Is this was that the guy that was hitting cameras? See, he's hitting the cameras and stuff. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know who that
But
is.
he's not doing nothing to rule roles. This guy must be depressed, but he looks like he's part of the MI6.
Yeah.
Not even CIA. He's MI6. You see how he hit the camera? Yeah, now they're taking him out. And then this guy here. Who's this? Look, he's looking around. See?
Yeah, I know him. I'm not gonna say his
okay.
name. I know who he is. He's not a cop.
Yeah, he's looking for a lawsuit. Some people look for lawsuits. See, look, he takes him out. He says, come on. He's like, I got him. He's a good guy. He's a good officer. I like him. And then somebody got to call the socialist.
Look
And that's Keith Olsen's nephew right there.
I don't know what the hell happened here.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, yeah. I'm sorry?
Vinny. I was
Where?
watching this video before, and I don't know why. Like these names that I give people, I don't sit around and try to think of a name for somebody. They just come to me. They hit me, and I just say them. So I was watching this video before, and I saw Vinny Spano. And for some reason, I started referring to him as Leisure Suit Vinny. Remember that video game?
No, I don't remember that. No.
Leisure Suit Larry was.
Check out Brenton Bullock. Look at his face. He's like, that's the first time I've ever seen him ready for action. He's usually just trying to avoid things and turning away. But look at him. He must feel confident. Like, yeah, we brought the boys in. Come on, start something. Where's Freddie Vasquez at? Oh, I'm looking for you, Freddie. Look at his face.
Which guy are you talking about?
This guy right here, Brenton Bullock. He is the guy that he's the chief of staff to Tasha Diaz.
Right.
He's the one that Vinny was telling me about him. He was like, that guy makes $93,000 a year, and he starts at 12 noon every day.
Hey, that's nice.
Yeah, right. Some people have it nice. Some people have very good, but he was ready for action. This guy, I don't know what he must have knew that they had this whole thing unlocked. That I'm ready. We got this.
With a constituent, exactly.
But I don't understand what took him so long to get to this point. Look at you. You're the only one that had 4 more years shirt on, Irwin. You went and spent money to make a shirt that says 4 more years, Irwin. Jeez, Irwin. Come on, buddy. I hope you wouldn't nothing to do with that video, Irwin. I hope it wasn't you, man. Otherwise, I'll see you in a real court next time. Yeah. But anyway, why didn't they do this sooner? I think that this was a setup. I think they wanted them to look like a bunch of knucklehead idiots there. And that is why, once again, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, City Council President, I said they look at you like a little black puppet. I said that. I didn't say I'm calling you that. I'm saying that's what they're looking at you as. And not just you, Tasha Diaz. And why I say black, right? Why didn't I just say little puppet? Because
that's what it is, right? Yeah.
They're specifically looking for you to use you because you are a black woman. So when they went to go get somebody to go against Mike Cater, it was specifically a black woman. They wanted to make it as super minority as possible to make it difficult for Mike Cater to win, right? And so that's why I say
probably.
that. Yeah, oh no, 1,000%, because they didn't go get a white woman, right? They didn't get a white woman because they weren't going to do that. So that's why I say that. And so I just want to clarify that because they're trying to spin it on me.
But you give them fodder when you say it that way. That's why it's like you give them something to spin it off into something else. It's like it just.
But they didn't. But they just started spinning it now because I had said that a while back. So it's like, so she knew. She's a lawyer, right? You comprehend. You got to do a lot of reading as an attorney. You knew how I said that and what I meant because I made that clear. All the YPD cops that were there because they are good. Great. Right. And I'm glad because, they probably knew something was up. Maybe they got word or something that might be popping off. So they said, let's get the good guys there,
Yeah, what's going on is that nobody wants 4 more years except the handful of people sitting in that room. That's what's going on. So there's going to be a lot of ticked off people in there.
Like this guy right here. Like this guy. He's pissed off. What? They messing up my 4 more years. It's my cousin, man. Blood cousin. Yeah. And I hope he wasn't involved. Jeffrey Sage, was doing recon for the 2-time convicted felon. Jeffrey Sage was standing at the door like he was security. Maybe he got hired as police, John. Maybe he got a job finally with the police, because he recently lost his job with one of the elected officials. Okay, maybe Hector was trying to stop them from taking the guy with the hat out. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he's going to talk about it tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So if you're interested, he'll be doing a live at 5. Anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. It's up 1.5 minutes. Hour and 33 minutes. Go ahead.
It's a long one, but we got to do it, bro. We got to do it. You know what I'm talking about?
What's that?
Come on. Pegged.
Why? You should have said that. I'm waiting for you. I would have been pulled it up. Well, let's talk about this really quick before we go off, because this is important, right? With these fake pages that have been coming up, it's very important that we put them out there, right? I got this one here. You want to talk about this one first?
Let's show the first comment that he made, right? So, Fred
this
Johnson.
This is a screenshot from one of the podcasts.
From last podcast, right? So for this Fred Johnson guy, we always knew it was a fake profile, and he was coming on, I think right when we did the first podcast, and he was saying things like he only got the job because of his father, and he was posting stupid memes about me thinking that I'm an internet tough guy.
Right.
And during this last podcast, which we have a screenshot of, he said something about, I said, bro, why don't you take your skirt off and come on the show and for a debate? And he said, I'd rather meet him on the schoolyard. Remember he said something like that? He deletes the comments, and you didn't show it in the podcast. I looked for it. You didn't show it, but you read off the screen that you were looking at in front of you there. So I'd rather meet him on the schoolyard. And if anyone who doesn't believe me, they can just go back and watch that podcast and they'll see it. So
he said you can't grow beard. That's one of the things that stuck out to me. And
I should have known immediately who it was, because there's this comedian that I used to watch on the internet sometimes. His name's Amiri King, right? Guy, he's like an ex-con, likes cops, but he's real funny, kind of offensive. So, it's not for the woke crowd, but he did one skit about these guys who really don't have a masculine look to them, except they grow a beard. And then they go around acting like they're a waterfall of testosterone because they have a long beard, and then guys who don't have beards are somehow effeminate or something like that. So they act like alpha males just because they have a beard.
Yeah, right. That's supposed to. I've heard some guys say that's supposed to be to make you a man if you have a beard and stuff like that. Which down here would grow, but I can't get the side stuff. But whatever, I don't think so.
And it was
Although
a funny
I did shave it off. I look crazy after.
So, but if you look at the comment that he made under Fred Johnson, it was something about him making 78 episodes with Freddie, like he's on Tucker Carlson, which is a Fox News primetime host. Okay.
Right.
Then what must have happened on Thanksgiving Eve on Wednesday, he's watching this back and forth between me and Handjob Harridan, and he decides he wants to chime in with one of his Fred Johnson comments. The problem is that he forgot to switch over from his regular account to his Fred Johnson troll account before he made the comment. And it was the exact comment that he made under Fred Johnson, that he gave himself away. So Steve, you helped me out big time with this one, bro.
He got caught again because Steve Squig, you was Fredo Vasquez, Steve.
I'm not mad at you, bro. This is the
mayor's nephew. This is the mayor's nephew. I called him out with Fredo Vasquez. It went down, and then he immediately messaged me and told me all this stuff and why it couldn't have been him, because he was, having these issues.
Right.
That's not gonna make me believe it, Steve. Come on, I heard about you. Too many people done said it already. Stop bothering with this 14B. He's doing an 85 episode with Freddie like he's on Bill O'Reilly. Right.
So instead of 78 episodes with Tucker Carlson, it's 85.
It's 85 now.
With a different Fox News primetime.
So let me pull that back up, and then we'll look at it again. Right. So there you go. 78 episode. Now it's Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson. Sorry. But again, they're really Republicans. I hear the Spano family is really Republican.
One
right.
thing we know about Steve Squig is that he watches a lot of primetime conservative Republican news.
Right. They're really Republicans. And I remember, even Vinny Spano was hoping some of the Republicans would win, because, again, they only converted or transferred or became Democrats because they wanted to win the seats, the elections and stuff, because of the demographic. Right. So I'm gonna put the other one up. Yeah.
Yeah. Show a couple of the other ones just for, for giggles.
Yeah. I'll put this one up. Anthony, Steve, you disappoint me, man. I thought we were leaving each other alone. I feel silly for the
reason I included this one is because it shows that he deleted them immediately. After I put that in my response, Steve, you disappoint me, bro. And then he comes back with, oh, what?
That's right. Steve was talking trash about the PBA and Keith Olsen, in fact. And this is what they do. And this is what I want to talk about on the podcast, interview with a city clerk, and how they were feeding information in order to, create a narrative and get me to put that out so I can, attack certain people for them. It's very, very crazy what they do. And they've done this to other people. They do this to Rue Ross and all that. Why do you think Rue Ross is attacking me right now, folks? Why do you think Rue Ross put that video out? Where did he get that video from, folks? Right? And who to create that narrative? It wasn't Rue Ross. So this is what they do. They use fake accounts, or they'll use people like Rue Ross, or they'll try to use people like me to put information out about people and who they don't want. That's why I was giving that information about Tasha Diaz from Vinny, right? The city clerk. He's telling me about her. But I also hear that Vinny Spano just redid his entire office as well. He's got cameras everywhere. They say it's like the what they say is like the Pentagon or something like that, with all the cameras he's got with his big, this 80-inch TV screen, which I've seen, and he's got all the different, cameras on there. He watches everybody and everything, and he's always listening. And they got secret passages and stuff, right? So how much money was spent there? So that's what people are saying. Hold on, I'm going to get to the next one now.
I love the comments that he was making that I also included in that email that he was making on one of your solo podcasts. You just read one of your regular podcasts. You and him were going back and forth a little bit, and he was making these comments to the effect of, "Oh, I'll tell you straight to your face. I don't need a fake profile, right?" And then he tells me, "I won't attack you. I have too much respect for your father." Meanwhile, he's been attacking me since episode 1,
right?
Just with a fake account.
Right. And that's what they do. And that's what he said to me. I'm just doing it like this because I don't want the email to see. Here. Well, I'm accused of a fake page. I don't need to outspeak him.
Meanwhile, he's using a fake page to watch the podcast that I'm on.
Right.
And to comment. It's like.
And I also caught on to who a certain other fake page was that I no longer see. And I know who it is. And it's interesting about that fake page because that name that fake page used is a name that person who made the fake page seems to like to use. They've used before in the past. They've used it to do something to someone else. Bad. Unbelievable.
Right. So it's, again, remember the word, folks, Machiavellian, right? Clean and polished. I'm not going to attack you. I have too much respect for your father under his real name, but under the fake name, it's idiot who can't grow a beard. It's internet tough guy. It's he only got the job because of his father. So it's sabotage when he's acting basically anonymously.
Right.
But when he's using his real name, it's the stand-up guy.
I appreciate you guys. It can't be easy to put yourselves out there and fight the machine. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you did. You did a lot, Summer. I thank you so much. And others, and Sam, I appreciate you and others who have done a lot. Thank you so much. Sam, you know what, Sam, when you said I blocked you, I was like feeling bad. You know that was in my mind, and I got a lot of shit on my mind, Sam. But the fact that you felt some type of way because you thought that I blocked you on purpose bothered me. So I just want you to know that I care. I genuinely do care, and I wanted you to know that I didn't do that. Somehow my page is blocking people, my friends. They blocked John Limo, blocked this woman Sam, and it blocked the third person. I don't know how. I changed my address. Oh, Steve is on. Steve's on.
No, I knew that was coming.
Steve.
Right. Knew that was coming.
Don't need a fake page for you.
Yeah, you're using one.
Yeah. That's you. You're using a fake page. Not Steve, that's not me. I definitely don't make any fake pages. 1,000%. Don't make them. Even though Ruros likes to.
I had anticipated this with a friend of mine. I said, Squig.
I do appreciate Danny. We appreciate you.
Because you posted that we were going to expose who Fred Johnson was last night. You posted. And I said, now Squig is going to see that, and he's going to come under his real name and show everybody that
he's not afraid.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I'm sure he's not. I just don't know why he just didn't use his real name from the beginning. If you want to insult me, Steve, that's fine. I hardly know you, bro. We hung around a few times back in the day, I think, Julio's or whatever. But if you want to take a position,
Steve, for anyone that doesn't know, is the mayor's nephew. Right. His mom is a Spano, so he doesn't have the Spano last name. What was it, Squigger talking ish about the PBA? Yes, Steve. What was that about? Do you not like the PBA or Keith Olsen? He was putting him on blast. Vinster is the architect behind this all divide and conquer. That's what they say. I also hear that Zahi as well.
Yeah,
Zahi's Jerish.
Steve, if he wanted to come on and insult me and just take the position of, you know what, you're going against my brother, so I'm going to come after you. That's fine. I understand that. I don't know why he just didn't do it under his real name from the beginning. I guess because he doesn't want to he doesn't want to make the family look bad, so he's using a fake page. I mean, he can't deny it was him at this point, unless there's no doubt, there's no way that there's some other guy named Fred using a Fred Johnson account and making that comment, and then Steve Quigg makes it.
Yeah, Steve. I mean, he's got a point there, Steve. I got to say that he's got a point there. I mean, the comments are very, very similar. And it would be really just, I mean, what are the odds? What are the probabilities that it was just two completely
with the
different
references to
people?
the beard, and he's got one down to here. I mean, come on.
Right. What are the odds, Steve? So that's what he's saying. What are the odds? Vinny and two-time convict, peas in a pod. Yeah, Steve. So I don't know. But I mean, what do you think about that, Steve? What are the odds? Right? That you would, two different people make the same comments. Listen, I get it. Like you said, he's got to, there's his family. He's going to come out. He's going to want to defend them. He doesn't want to do it with his name like that and it might make the family look bad, Right. So I get that, I get that. But anyway, Steve, anything, any comments on the police thing, the issue with the police department, with the PBA and Keith Olsen? You guys you don't like him or something?
Yes,
I guess not.
Asking Steve.
I'm asking Steve. I'm hoping Steve will respond. I don't think Steve is going to come back on. Steve, you there? By the way, folks, I want to let you know that it's interesting, with the Yonkers voice guy, and I'm not trying to talk about him anymore. I just thought about this. That's very interesting, and it involves police officer. Well, it was a police incident report anyway that I have, because the police went over to the Ruros Yonkers voice guy's house and said, hey, you got this child pornography video in your inbox. No, and this is a true story. It's an incident report and everything. I read it. Right. And it was very, very, very nasty, folks. What was the video about? But he got it. What's interesting that is the person that sent it to him was using the name Espinoza. This was in 2018. Supposedly that sent it to him. I don't know, but he had it in his inbox. But what bothered me about that when I read that is that this man, says did happen to him, right? Because I asked him about it. He said, yeah, somebody sent it to me, this child porn thing. I said, okay, well, then that this stuff happens. So why did you run with that child pornography thing and include my wife when somebody sent it to me? And it was nothing as nasty as what you talking about. It was actually 18-year-old kids. So, and I didn't even see anything, nothing, but you did. And I deleted it right away. And you did. He saw something and he kind of described, and I was like, I don't need to hear it. But you knew that happens. Why did you then not say that? I
can't even believe it.
Yeah. Why didn't you say, man, you know what? That's messed up that happened to you too, Freddie. It happened to me. They try to set us up.
The tactics
let's go and talk about this, Freddie, and use our platforms. No, instead, he went and ran with a story that I was watching child porn and that my wife has sent me the video, right? Knowing that this had happened to him. See, he didn't empathize with me. He didn't care. He tried to use that to make me look bad. But that's why that guy will be in court with me. I'm taking Yonkers voice. It's going to be fine.
I told you, if there was anything at all legitimate going on with child porn, the feds would be at somebody's door.
Well, the police were at his door. I mean, look, I actually spoke about it. They went to him. All right, so why? What are you hiding?
What I'm saying is it's obviously disgusting tactics being used, because if it was real, the FBI would be involved.
Yeah, no, it's a tactic. I mean? It's definitely a tactic. I'm not saying that he was actually downloading stuff like that. No, what I truly in my heart of hearts, because I'm not going to be like him and make up a lie and say something nasty about him just for the purpose of it. No, in my heart of hearts, what I believe is that Ruros was also, reporting on things, doing his thing as a Yonkers voice. This was in 2018 when this happened, and they didn't like it, so they tried to do the same thing that they did with me by sending them up with child porn, and they sent it to him. But what's interesting is that the name of the person that sent it to him, they used Espinoza. I have a fake account that's been following me for a while now named Jake Espinoza. And I happen to know who Jake Espinoza is now. And so I thought that was interesting. And I'm wondering if this person likes using the name Espinoza, and this is what he does to people. He sends them things, or he tries to set them up. But I got it all, baby.
I mean, it makes sense, because I remember that when we were doing the deposition podcast, with the suspect deposition with Mueller, Jake Espinoza chimed in with some information that case is still ongoing in the Second Circuit. And it was a very neutral type of a comment. It wasn't assaulting towards anybody. It was just like, hey, here's some information about what you guys are talking about. So that have you said on the air who you think that is?
No.
I think you did on one of our podcasts.
I did, maybe. Yeah. Maybe I'm gonna not say no more, because I'm gonna do the court thing and stuff like that. But I have that documentation. I find that to be interesting. You know, we're seeing a pattern here. And the more and more people talk and tell me their stories and things that's happened to them, there's a pattern. Just like that guy, Philip Wise, that came from the Child Care Council. Well, somebody reached out to me about him. The guy's a horrible man. He's a nasty man. He insults people. Other child care owners have reached out to me and said that man's sole purpose is to shut down child cares. And he's very nasty. He insults people. He shut one down, and after shutting it down, he drove by it, and he would mess with them and say, "Where are the kids? Are the kids there?" Knowing that it was shut down.
You're talking about Blade?
Yes, Blade. Yes, Philip Wise. Philip Wise. But I like to put the people's pictures out there because then people say, "Oh, I know that guy," and they start giving information, and that's what happened with him. So, you know, we're going to report these people. He tried to lie and say he was CPS. First of all, how did you guys even know anything about CPS? Why would you pretend to be CPS? This is the Child Care Council of Westchester. Child Care Council of Westchester had 2 people come to my daycare center. A tall man, very aggressive. He was forcing the white woman with the blonde hair, and I only say it to describe him, there was a tall black man, to say that they were CPS, and I got him on my cameras. Why? Very aggressive. He frightened people that worked for me. He called me a stupid idiot and implied I couldn't read by saying reading is fundamental when he gave me his card because I asked who he was. So, you know, they're trying everything they can, everything. And I know that with the office of OCFS, listen, the Shacos, I'm not saying you are or not involved. I'm just saying, Shacos, your sister works at the office of OCFS. You are the city court judge. I happen to know that Zahi Jerris had a hand in that. And so, you know, I'm just saying, don't get you guys caught up in none because I'm ready to go the distance with the lawyers. Even if I just put you in there, we'll figure it out in court. Let's do it. And I'm not trying to make no threats or nothing like that. I'm just saying there's so much connections. You can't get away from these people. They put them everywhere. They're all over the place in all kinds of departments. So it's like if you got a beef with them, they're going to hit you from every angle, you know? And so you just have to document it and just put him on blast. You got no empathy because you are a good person and he is not. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, but he had the same thing happen to me. I mean, to him, but he tried to twist it in my case. And that's crazy. Unbelievable. And Espinoza spoke at the hearing the day of the vote, supporting the 4th term. Really? I got to look at that.
It is a common Hispanic name.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know any Espinozas. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but I don't know any Espinoza. I know more Vasquez's than actually, and they sometimes spell with an S.
Really common.
Well, sometimes you see a lot with the S. I have 2 Z's. Right. So, and you see that they all try to use they use my name in some form. You have Fredo Vasquez, you have Fred Johnson, then you had another guy, Fred Arouse Roberto. Then they put Tulsa, Oklahoma, and all this stuff. And then some guy wrote this long thing about how he you came from here and you didn't know where you belong. They really, really think they know me, but that's cool. Anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. Anything else that you want to say? We got you, Steve. And see, he didn't go as long as last time, right? He didn't want to do it. Steve, you didn't want to do it, Steve. You got caught. Come on, Steve. Steve got caught. You got caught. By the way, folks, one of the people that spoke, and I don't know if you saw that at the meeting, who spoke in support of the term extensions, gave this, eloquent speech that she wrote, was actually a classmate or former classmate of the mayor's daughter at a private school.
Oh, and the young girl that was talking? The young teenager?
Yeah, the one that was kind of like an actress, sounded like an actress. It was very like the script was, But I found out she was. There's actually 2 people there. Another one, I forgot what the other one was. Her mom. Oh, no, a woman that spoke. The woman, Teresa, that spoke is the head of the Human Rights Commission here in Yonkers. Of course. Of course. Yeah. Folks, it's all a setup. Please, let's be smarter. Let's show them we are smarter than them, and we are going to come out and we are going to vote for Danny Sullivan for city council. What district, Danny? What district? What district you want? I think you 3. You should, Danny. Look, and I'm being honest, Danny. You should. We need more people to come out and do that. Learn civics. I'm learning. I don't know it all. I'm learning. You should come out and learn. More people should come out and learn and really do it.
Somebody's got to take Wilford Brimley's seat. What seat is he?
Who's that?
Breen.
5th district. 5th district.
Yeah.
Thank you, Denise. Great show. Both of you stay strong. Thank you, Denise. I haven't been watching that long, but I'm hooked, Freddie. You came through even on a holiday weekend. Yeah, thank you. I was gonna do the marathon. I forgot to set it all up to do a marathon. I said to my wife, I want to do the marathon, and I got caught up maybe with cooking or running out to get something, and I never did it. But I appreciate you. Thank you for the support, Summer. Thank you guys. Continue to share the show. Anthony definitely appreciates you because also your support also shows support for my show, shows support for Anthony as well. And I appreciate that because he definitely needs the support. So we out here to support you, Anthony. I want you to know that we're here supporting you. That's why we do this. That's why I do it, right? I don't ask for anything. I'm here to support you. I'm about the doctor making a cool $200,000 a year. We'll talk about that soon. Who's that? I want to run against Breen. You should. Absolutely you should. 5th District, you definitely should. Absolutely. Well, anyway, folks, wow, we're almost 2 hours. Shoot. Anything else for you, Anthony? I'm going to get up out of here, man.
Time flies. No,
yeah. And look, we kept a good viewership, man. 35. We were at, almost at 40 at one time throughout the whole time. Thank you, folks, for supporting.
We spent a good portion of this podcast and the last one, too, talking about recent events because there's been a lot going on with the 4th term and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, we'll talk offline. Maybe next week we'll get back in where we left off several podcasts ago about the particulars of my story.
Definitely. Let's get back into it.
Meeting with Tim Hodges is up next.
All right. That's interesting. Meeting with Tim Hodges. I don't know if you saw the text that Vinny and Charlie, Tim Hodges and Charlie Cole are related
by marriage.
Oh, he mentioned something like that. Anyway, we'll talk about that as well. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Anthony DiMaggio, former Yonkers police lieutenant, 15-year veteran. Amazing story. We're going to pick back up next week. Friday at 8 o'clock for sure. This was the holiday week and only reason why we switched it up. But we spoke. We're going to be doing Fridays, 8 o'clock. So make sure you tune us next week, and we'll see you here. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate you. Thank you, Anthony. Have a great day. Rest of the weekend. Enjoy.
Thanks, everybody.
We up out of here. Take care. Folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. That's Basement Politics program for your evening. Today is Saturday. Again, I will be on tomorrow. Let's discuss the 12 years that Mayor Spano has served here in the city of Yonkers. Has it been great? Has it been as wonderful as the paid actors, as the individuals who benefit, as the employees who've come up, as the classmates and the head of the Human Rights Commission are saying? Did he do a good job? Let's find out. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Let's go over the mayor's tenure as mayor of the city of Yonkers tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Thank you for joining me. I will be up out of here. I'm up out of here. I'm going to say 75% of the speakers supporting term limit extensions have ties or employment with city. Yes, unbelievable. Don't forget that it's all fake. So, think about this. Ruro said that, there were only a handful and the rest were supporters, but that's a false narrative. So we have to make sure that whoever's feeding us information is feeding us the correct information. And we might not always get it right, or at least I know I may not, but I am more than willing to correct myself. And I will do that if you let me know that I was wrong. So, just be careful what said. There was a lot more than a handful. And in fact, a lot of people support, term limits. A lot of people do. And so again, there's a lot of controversy behind it. There's a lot of, allegations of favors and rewards for extending the terms for the yes vote that some of the council members for them, gave on Tuesday. And because of it, I believe that it needs to go to a referendum, a special election, if you want it to be before next year for whatever reason, right? Because it's not about Mike Spano, right? Then that needs to be the way it's done. Otherwise, it will always be tainted with, corruption and questioned if it was honest, if there was cheating and stuff like that. And in my honest opinion, as a, somewhat intelligent human, I think, I do have an MBA. I did do a lot of reading. Also, I did a lot of math too. And I did well in school, I did okay. So I like to say that I think there was some shit going on there, a whole lot of corruption, but I'm just saying. That's just my opinion. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'm up out of here. Have a beautiful and blessed weekend. I am Freddie Vasquez. This is not stop us. Because I have the people behind me. I have the good people behind me. The good people of the city of Yonkers, the city I love, the city I grew up in, the city that made me tough. Anyway, the city that we are working together to change. And I look forward to to meeting with some of you in the coming weeks to discuss how we can do this together. Doesn't matter what party you represent or belong to. Doesn't matter what side of town you live on. What matters is that we all want change. And change starts with us. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Thank you for joining me as always. I love you folks. Love you Yonkers. And I'm here for you. And I'm going to take it all. What will they do next? Will I see CPS at my business again? Will somebody try to beat me up? Will they try to get me in jail? What will the crazy individuals who are out to get me do this time? We'll just have to wait and see. Pray for me. I'm up out of here. That's right. You never know what they're going to do. So I got you guys here.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to Basement Politics Unfiltered.
In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me, and I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
I was raised in housing.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me, and I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
So that my competition, the guy who always talks about me, so that my competition, the guy who always talks about me, so that an optical illusion that people are following him. The truth is,
Freddie wins. Fatality.
benefit him. Because he doesn't cover. He only talks trash. Benefit him. Because he doesn't cover. He only talks trash. We are the real McCoy. Benefit him. Because he doesn't cover. He only talks trash. We are the real McCoy. So that my competition, the guy who always talks about me, the hopes that the people will follow them, it's not working.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Are we? Let's make it happen, guys. Make me happy today.
Come on, give it to us straight.
Not long ago,
Come on, give it to us straight.
not long.
I know you have a lot of women that work in your office. And I was also told that you favor some over others. I'm hoping that this is not true, Sammy.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
I know you have a lot of women. I know you have a lot of women. I'm hoping that this is not true, Sammy. I know you have a lot of women. I'm hoping that this is not true, Sammy.
But I am the bad guy. But I am the bad guy.
Come on, give it to us straight.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
No!